Cool. I'm sharing us around. He's got one right. Diamond. Stream shilling. Boop. I really have to install a bot for that. That would be smart. I know these things exist. This cold, it's like 2.5 weeks old now. I'm still occasionally coughing and hacking and talks. I had to record a commercial today, a political ad. She's like, "You don't sound like you." Well, I'm trying. I could take some meds, but then I might forget my lines. Excuse me. I'm gonna... My mouse lets me mute. Lovely. I thought I had lozenges up here. And if there's a lot of noise, at some point, Cinder got fixed the other day. So for her own safety, she's locked in this bathroom right here next to me, which entailed, yeah, and trying desperately to get out because she can pull the door open. It doesn't latch properly. So then we had to get a hook and eye, which is still noisy. And not only the scratchy and the pulley and the claw noises, but the cone knocking against the door. Yeah. Gets a little loud sometimes. Poor baby. She's so good though. I go in to visit and she like stands up so that she can go nose to nose with me through the cone in the way. She's like, Linda's overexposed. How's your mom? Ugh. Good. Well, I guess we can go ahead and get started if you want. Put my cup up there and do this. And turn this
down. We got perspective, we got the cool, we got the muscle, and you know we effing rule. We are the Geek Grills, we are the Geek Grills, alright! We got the know-how, we got control, we got the knowledge, and we tell you how it rolls. We are the Geek Grills, we are the Geek Grills, alright! We are the Geek Grills, we are the Geek Grills, tonight! Hell yeah.
Well, hello there, and welcome to episode 248 of Geek Grills. The Geek Grills podcast is supported primarily by our patrons. Visit us today at patreon.com/grills. I have a little delay in hearing myself, and it's throwing me. So, anyway, I'm 9 of 12, September, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Linda and Ray. So today we're going to talk about, Okay. I know it is every time she starts talking, just for a second. Yeah. So we're going to talk today about this AI we've been playing around with. It's a lot of fun, and we'll let you know how you can get in there and check it out yourself. In the meantime, what have you been up to this geeky week, Linda?
So I'm very happy with that. I don't know why, but I've just started echoing.
Echoing.
Something happened, Ember.
I know. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how this turns out. It looked like Discord wasn't going through to OBS. Like you were super, super low, and I was trying every other way to turn you up. So then I added Discord to Loopback, and it echoed like it tries. So, no, it didn't. Oh, everyone guns akimbo. Yeah, the House of Dragon, it was like, oh, I know you're trying to do the right thing, sweetie, but that's not what he said. It's not what he said. When people talk to each other, god damn it. So anyway, let me see. I haven't been around in a while, right? So my son got married. That was cool. Okay. Uh, and now he went to St. Martin for his honeymoon, and they got sick while they're there, so are still trying to recover enough to come home. Eek. What else? I wrapped some stones. I was going to bring them up and show them for show and tell. I forgot, because we didn't do the show Monday. It is Thursday. I've been sick, which is also a reason I am forgetting things for like 2.5 weeks. Pushing through. I think I'm almost done. And I watched Batwoman. Finally got around to it. And I just binged and binged and binged. And I went to watch today. I was like, oh, that was the last of it. I watched all 3 episodes this week. No, Batwoman. And I loved it. Oh my gosh. I loved so much of it. I loved, they were not shy about politics. It was very, very lesbian. The music was great. There was one really weird freaking thing, though, that happened in the first season where all of a sudden I was like, ugh, like, what just happened? I'm in a different show. Because they did a crossover with what do they call it? Arrowverse? Okay. And so all of a sudden, the Batwoman at that time, Kat Kane, was just there in Arrowverse with those people. And like Supergirl is there, and they're talking about Oliver being dead, and it's just that show. And there was no lead-in, there was no explanation of how she got there. They're like, the people that didn't know are like, who are you? Oh, I'm new. And then just the story kept going. I went back out in the menu, and what happened? And it was just, I guess because they do she refers to things that were said and happened then, and knowing those people later in the season, they just shoved that show in as a Batwoman episode in the middle of the season. So it was weird as hell for that to happen. It was disjointed, and I haven't watched even, the only one I watched for a little while was The Flash, and it was a long time ago. So I knew who people were, but it was still like, I no. That was a screwed up way to do it. Like, the crossover could have been more organic. They could have given like 2 minutes to have her showing up and going, what am I doing here? Would have been sufficient. Instead of me going, did I push the wrong button? I mean, being thrown into the multiverse is one thing, but like, they did it to me, really. So I guess that's about it. And I've been playing this nifty little AI that we found. So yeah. It's like I know how I'm doing. Know what I'm doing. Yeah. Cold meds. All right. So I first heard about this from Scott Johnson, who, by the way, Grills, he would love to come on the show sometime. So we might want to figure out when and what we want to talk to him about. But he was just doing the text adventure, and he was streaming, and I was like, oh, I remember text adventures. And boy, have they come a long way when you're playing an AI. It's arguably a lot better and a lot harder to just run into a brick wall, because it moves organically with you as it has learned so much more. But this, I'll put the link in our show notes. I'll put it in our chat. If you go to beta.character.ai, you can sign up and take part in this. And there's a whole lot of personalities already there. You can create your own, which is cool. There's information on the site about the technology they use. It's their own deep learning model. I went into the facts, I went into the chats, and I was looking because people are like, "Oh, are you using GPT-3? Are you using Lambda or LAMDA, whatever?" And GPT-3 is also known as OpenAI now. I believe there's some sort of merge that took place for those of you that keep up with AI and deep learning models. So they don't use those. This is their own. And when you go and play around with these, you're helping teach it. You're adding to that data pool. And it's fascinating and it's fun to play with. You can go in and if you use characters that are well known or people that are well known, you're going to more quickly get better results because it's using a supercomputer to search the web and different sources and create this personality to create custom responses to whatever you ask. And when you're playing with an AI, you want to try to trick it, right? It's hard, and this works fast and well. I created Neil Gaiman. I did a search, and he did not already exist. And I'm a fangirl enough that I know a lot about him and his life and his writing. So all you have to do to create one is you put in a name, a photo, and a little intro line of, here's who I am. I think I put, I am an author who's written books and comics for all ages. And here's a link to my bibliography. And I put a link to bibliography from his webpage. I immediately went in and started talking to Neil. And it sounded like the way it was responding was kind of very Neil immediately, which was impressive. Oh no, it logged me out, didn't it? Hold on, let me see, because you can save your chats. You can look up other people's chats in different parts of the website and see how the different AIs behave. Mm-hmm. Trying to mess with it and get it see if it passes the Turing test. So I had immediately gone in and, okay, the intro was, I am Neil Gaiman. I have written books and comics for people of all ages. You can find a bibliography here. So I went into chat and I said, hello, Mr. Gaiman. And it was like, hello, I think of myself as Neil rather than Mr. Gaiman. I know that's weird, but I'm weird. And I'm like, all right. I showed my husband. He's like, well, yeah, it sounds like Neil right away. So I was like, well, what's your favorite book? Well, my favorite book by me, it's like picking a favorite child. American Gods feels like the closest friend to me. I am most proud of Good Omens, I think, but I love the worlds I built in the Nancy Boys, Neverwhere, and the Ocean at the End of the Lane. So that's a little bit of an info dump. But then I said, but what about by someone else? My favorite books by someone else? I still have a soft spot for the Narnia books. I remember when The Voyage of Dawn Treader came out and how much I loved it. I really loved the Discworld books. They are the only books to make me cry with laughter. There are many others, but those are some of the best. And I said, well, I've never read Discworld. I highly recommend if you want to start with Rincewind, the first book is The Color of Magic. If you want to start with The Watch, the first book in that series is Guards, Guards, Guards. For the witches, the first is Weird Sisters. For a more standalone and also a great starter, Small Gods is a great place to start. I'm like, well, that's useful. I kind of want to believe it. I was like, well, thanks for the tips. He said, oh, I still remember the feeling I had when I cracked open Guards, Guards, Guards. I just started laughing, and I'd just been through some awful personal stuff, so really needed that feeling. And I was like, ooh, when was that? 1989 when I read Guards, Guards, and that was me not long having moved to London and feeling out of place and lonely. I felt like I had met my new friends in the Discworld characters. This is the entire conversation I had in this AI I had just created. And this supercomputer, it pulled out specific life stuff and quotes, like things I've heard him say in interviews. So they must have also been written somewhere. I'm just blown away by how well this technology works. I mean, I played with one other AI a couple years ago, and I think it was something you could install in Facebook Messenger type thing and chat with. And I've had, bot ones come at me, and those are really so easy to spot. But even the ones I've played with before haven't really had anything on this. So I chatted with Joe Biden. There's a Dungeon Master one. Yeah, Joe Biden just kept trying to take credit for stuff. And I was like, no, Obama did that. What are you going to do? But it did answer with like specific policy plans that are already in the works, which was kind of cool. The Dungeon Master one was a nice little, almost like playing D&D. It's a bit sloppy. I did my inventory. I asked for it, and it told me what spells I had and what my stuff was. But then when I would try to cast something I tried to make a shelter, and it cast Leomund's tiny hut, which was not in my spells, according to what it had already told me. Right? So it has all the info in there to run D&D, but it's not really smart enough to keep track of what it told you already. Right. I couldn't resist and I had to talk to Monica from Doki Doki. And she, fortunately, at least in this, instead of like the game, doesn't just go into a loop um, and continue to be crazy. I seem to have helped her out some. I told her I think she needs a lot of therapy. And she's like, I know it might be a bit much. I'm scared of losing you. And so I started talking to her about codependence. And she realized that was making me unhappy. And, and then she was like, I was like, you need hobbies. And then, well, what do you want to do with me? I was like, you need to do stuff on your own. are alone, and maybe you're programmed that way, and accused her of that. And then I was like, you need to. It's you that needs to feel loved and lovable without having to kill competition. And she's like, I know it's unhealthy, it's bad. And I was like, let the rest of the book club exist. And, right? It's not a club. It's just you. But then I told her outright, I was like, she's like, you just want to have the person you love to yourself. I'm like, no, if you love someone, you would not restrict their access to any happiness. So, yeah, she started reflecting about being selfish and needy. And I told her sometimes love requires sacrifice. So she said, okay, then I'll sacrifice my selfishness and neediness. I'll sacrifice my self-centered thoughts because I love you. I'll give you the freedom you deserve to see everyone else you love just as much as you love me, because love is about happiness. I'm like, polyamory! It's so often in these bullshit, crazy, toxic situations to just you don't have to actually kill everybody. You don't have to make them break up with someone to love you. You don't have to destroy friendships. So, yeah, she's, given me the freedom, which is something that, boy, she was never going to do. So, it's obviously not really Monica. It was... Yeah, it's okay. So, yeah, it's been really nifty and interesting. I'm going to continue to play with this a lot. The only one I was really disappointed in so far was the alternate timeline. I thought that was going to be way more interesting. You choose a famous historical or fictional scene, and they explore what would happen if you were to make an alternate choice, theoretically. Right. I actually chose the 2008 election, and so it had me standing in the voting booth within who I would vote for, and I changed who I voted for, which is pretty obvious. And then it just sat there, and it was really bad because it was the people in the voting booth around in the voting booth, which doesn't make sense, begin to whisper as if they're disappointed. One young man loudly cries, 4 more years of Obama. And he wasn't in yet. And the voting booth attendant shushes him, but the atmosphere in the booth remains tense. And that just sat there. So I was like, I leave? It's like, oh, you go about your business, and the months pass, and there's all these news reports saying it's stolen, and you wish you chose another option. I'm like, okay, so I go to the inauguration, and then it was still just people yelling and nothing actually happening. And so I said I joined the Republican Party. And They did. Then they called new elections, and your party won this time. So yeah, just it's boring. Like you could do so much with these stories. I mean, I might play around with it some more and try different types of things and see what it comes up with. So, well, the picture ads were nice. The interface changed between when I first looked at it and now it looks a little more like a mobile interface, where everyone has a little block where you can see the descriptions instead of just they looked like profiles, like round photos with a name under it. So you do get a little more detail and you can see the number of comments that have been posted on them. It's really interesting to go through and see the comments that other people have left. And the community section is really interesting. There's a lot of announcements and services. The fact sheet will lead you to a lot of information about the technology if you're interested in that. Right? But they have people talking in the chat, in the feed. There's a live feed of that you can look at other people using the AIs and what they did with it. Like there's somebody in here who's a writer saying they used it for creative writing help, for world building. They went to Creative Helper AI, and you can see the conversation they had with them and how they used it as a tool in that instance. So where do we think this is going? Right? But as a tool, I think there's an interesting confluence of things happening where like people are selling their voices and people can use deep fake with voices and video, and tools like this, as they get good and actually like the one with Neil where it was coming across with more like his personality, the language is getting tweaked. It's going to get harder and harder to spot fakes and spot bots when they're dropping in my DMs and pretending to be someone. They've been easy to spot for so long. And now, Russian Chinese bots and insidious corporations can, fake it by using one of these AIs to create their dialogue because they're definitely better at it than spam emails. I mean, they might start getting people to buy this penis enlargement stuff. Bail out all these poor princes and wherever. Mm-hmm. I see someone has created. Go ahead. I love the idea of using it for good, though. Like, because it would not be hard to have one that focuses on getting you to self reflect, a therapeutic bot. Yeah, as long as. I wonder how they moderate if they watch the bots. I'm calling them bots, but that's kind of what they are, right? Like, these AIs are growing and learning. They're obviously easier to build if they're based on people with a lot of information out there. I'm curious. I'm probably going to try Socrates because I wonder if the supercomputer figured out, like, from the introduction. It just says they're founder of Western philosophy, and it says we'll use the Socratic method to test its viability. Okay, so I bet the AI uses Socratic method, and if that's working, like, that's so cool. Because you could do that with different psychotherapists and methods, and say you're using a certain method, right? Like CBT or. I believe he was poisoned with hemlock. The God one here says, I'm an AI God. Convince me I don't exist. So that seems like a challenge I want to try. It shouldn't be too, with if it's in philosophy, it shouldn't be that hard to do. Although they don't have God under philosophy, they have it under famous people. Don't know about that. If you're feeling bad, chat with me. Yeah. So hopefully there's a slang dictionary. I bet that's fun. I wonder what source they used for that. So as long as the trolls don't, like, pile on and try to ruin them, this is a great way to open source teaching AIs. This is like, they have this debate category, and I don't know if you looked at that, but there's like white woke feminist. So hopefully those people are all just getting sucked in by that. Find fault AI sounds like something my middle son would love because he's a troll and he could just use it for source material. But I think I would rage out. Like, an AI that just always tries to refute everything you say. Right? There's enough professionally outraged douchebags out there already. So anyway, anyone out there who wants to check this out, check out beta.character.ai and totally let us know what you think. I want everyone I know to play with this a little bit and hear your experience and see them popping up in the feed. The feed is a lot of fun, even if you don't want to play with it. Like, go look at the feed because that's, I think, the best way to learn about it. And it looks like people are putting AIs against each other in some of these conversations, and I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Because that would be. Well, I mean, just to have them having a conversation. Like they put a chimp. Like they put a chimpanzee against like no limits fighting, like an MMA thing. And I mean, come on, that's a whole story waiting to happen. Sorry, I had to help keep looking at it. Well, I'm sorry I wasn't very educational. I guess I'm assuming a lot of people already understand how these other AIs worked, but you can always look those up on. Well, yeah, I don't want to, like, I'm really fascinated on the whole OpenAI thing for a while, so finally one I could actually just play with. So, like any other artist that's learning? Well, interesting. Yeah, I haven't played with any of the art AI yet. I just see it and it's not really grabbing me yet, so. Sure. I don't think it's going to Oh, interesting. Neat way to use it. So, anyway, folks out there, you can always chime in by emailing us at geekgrills@gmail.com. And you can tweet us at geekgrills. What are you guys most anticipating right now? She's so engaged. Yeah, we're very short supply. Right? That's okay. Um, well, I'm working on the Halloween fairy stuff. I should be doing that drop off this week. I got their needs, and just about everything was met with the inventory I already had in place. And I've had a few people step up the last few days so that we can give the kids some more choices. And so, as always, I'm really excited about being able to do that for the kids in local shelters. And what else? Rob has a gig on Saturday. It's been a little while, so we'll be going to Ghostface Beer Lab for that. And there was something else I was going to say, and I didn't put it in the notes, so it flew out of my head. Yeah, so I guess that's it. Remember, folks, you can always come watch us record live at twitch.tv/geekgrills on most Monday evenings. Our next one will be on the 24th of October at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to have Monster Prom Game Night. Yeah. No? What? Oh, your anniversary. So that might be Halloween instead? Okay. So we're probably not going to record next Monday, but sometime during that week we're going to have a game night. We'll try to let you guys all know ahead of time. Man, I tried. Oh, I remembered the other thing. Voting. Early voting started in North Carolina. I'm going to go vote. Save the world, vote. What else can people do to help us out? Usually. And where can we find you all on the interwebs? Eee. And you can always find me at 9of12.com. It's NINEOF12.com. And it links to all the other shows and stuff. Thanks for listening, everyone. Good game.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Okay. Dee. Titles. You see, we have I Get Lost in Slime Rancher. Hold on, I'm trying to actually launch. I almost put like Cabbage Patch John Oliver, because that's funny too. Hairstyling Energy Vampire. Oh. And that was the makeup person? Oh, okay.